two things. Two significant prophets are mentioned there, Moses and Elijah. Among all the prophets of the Old Testament, these two prophets are very specifically mentioned there, Moses and Elijah. And these two prophets have played a great significant role in the history of Israel. Moses is always revered as a father of the nation and as a giver of the law, and is highly respected. And Elijah is also very highly respected because of this prophecy even till today. During the Feast of Tabernacles, every Jewish home, they'll put a chair called the Elijah's chair. And every Feast of Tabernacle, they look forward to the coming of Elijah. So these two prophets are highly respected in Israel among all the Jews. As a result, these two prophets are specifically and significantly mentioned in the last book of the Bible, giving us or telling us something that will signify the things that are going to take place in the last days. Remember the law of Moses. And what is the law of Moses? It is a revelation of all the rules and procedures for right living. You know, for 400 years, the Israelites lived in Egypt like slaves. They were just slaves. In the morning when they got up, till the time they go to sleep, they know nothing but only one work, making bricks and constructing palaces, treasure houses for the pharaohs according to the architectural blueprint that the pharaohs and all the other princes make. So they know how to bake bricks. That's all they knew. Nothing more, nothing less. And all their life was one of slavery, and they had no self-respect for themselves, nothing. No self-image, no self-esteem. Now suddenly, they are free. They got their independence. Now, they do not know how to live. So God comes and gives them laws, gives them rules. This is how you shall live. This is how you shall conduct yourselves. And gives them all the statutes and commandments so that they will know how to live and conduct themselves when they get into their own nation. The laws and the commandments and the statutes that God gave them are not just for them, but they are supposed to be a role model nation for the rest of the world to follow, that this is the way that a people should live rightfully before God. So that is the revelation that God gave to him.
Yeah, the chapter 62. You know, you have been hearing in this conference from the first night and this morning that God is doing a new thing. And our dear brother Neville Johnson started his message with that. And so did our dear brother Dr. Bruce. He went on to elaborate on that. And we will continue. As I was waiting on God, asking what word I should bring, and this is what the Lord told me yesterday, to share with you the new thing that God is going to do, which will begin from this year. And this year would be a year of preparation to prepare ourselves to receive that which is new that God is going to give. So what is the thing. The word of the Lord came unto me. He said, this is the year. Time to prepare for God's glory. You've been hearing this for years. We have been preaching this conference year after year after year. The coming of the glory of God, not twofold, but sevenfold. You remember that? Remember, not twofold, but sevenfold. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It has been prophesied for long. Now we say to you, it is now near. It's right at the door. If it's right at the door, you want to be ready. Just like what the Lord Jesus said in Revelation chapter 3 verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone who has ears to hear. See, for you to hear the knock, you must be standing near the door. If you are far away from the door, you may not hear. So you need to be always watching and waiting when the knock will come. And you also want to be dressed and ready. You don't want to be caught in your nighties, do you? Or in your pajamas. No. Because when the king comes, or the king's messenger comes with a message for you, and when you open the door, it is going to be a message of a marching order. So you should be battle ready. You cannot say, oh, let me go and dress and get ready. You cannot say, let me go first prepare a funeral for my family. That's what one guy told the Lord Jesus. And the Lord said, let the dead bury the dead. You just follow me. Which talks of a period or a time of preparedness. You cannot say, no, give me some time. Let me go and take care of all my family business first. And when I'm retired, I have all that time for you, Lord. It'll be too late. Be too late. There is no guarantee that you can survive your retirement. You can die along the way. Right? Who can guarantee that you live to 62 or 65? In India, it's 58. You can't guarantee anything. Death can take place anytime, anywhere. Right? But a life of preparedness will make you ready all the time. Or the Hebrew word for sign says signal. They are sending out a signal. They are speaking something. So what is this speaking? This is the beast. Is it? So my next question is Pope Francis the prophesied false prophet?
Pope Francis was born on December 17, 1936 in Buenos Aires, Argentina. His original name was Jorge Mario Bergoglio. He's the child of Italian immigrants to Argentina. He's the first Latin American pontiff, the first non-European for nearly 1,300 years. Pope Francis is the first Jesuit pope. He's also the first pope to be called as Pope Francis. He chose Francis as his name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint of Italy, which is Pope Francis's native country. He became the first pope in 600 years to be appointed as 266th pope when the previous pope was alive. On February 11, 2013, Pope Benedict XVI resigned the papacy. He did so after he claimed that God asked him to do so. Hours after Pope's shock resignation, a lightning struck the roof of St. Peter's Basilica.
March 4, 2013, I attended a broadcast conference in Nashville, Tennessee in the US. It was during those days, but particularly on March the 4th, I was sitting at a lecture, and there was this Christian broadcaster speaking something about broadcasting. And as I was listening to him, the word of the Lord came unto me concerning the next pope that will be chosen. Now the next pope was elected on March the 13th, 2013. But the word that came unto me was on March the 4th, which was 9 days before the new pope was to be elected. The word of the Lord came unto me concerning the next pope that was going to come. They said the next pope will be a younger person compared to all his predecessors, have good rapport with world leaders, will be knowledgeable on world affairs, very friendly and approachable person to all. Now in the last 2 years, this present pope has passed all what his predecessors have done in his grasp of world affairs and his rapport with world leaders, and a very, very pleasant, friendly, smiling nature.
Just 1 year after being Pope, Pope Francis became the #1 leader in the Fortune magazine's 50 Greatest Leaders for the year 2014. In December, Pope Francis was featured as the Time magazine's Person of the Year in its 2013 edition. The article in Time stated, "Pope Francis, the people's Pope, he took the name of a humble saint and then called for a church of healing." On February 13, 2014, Pope Francis was on the cover page of the American pop culture magazine, Rolling Stone. Vanity Fair Italia also named him Man of the Year. The cover story on Pope Francis noted, "His first 100 days have already placed him in the category of world leaders who make history, but the revolution continues." The New Yorker also put him on the cover following his nomination as Time's Person of the Year. According to the 14th annual survey from the Global Language Monitor in 2013, Pope Francis became the most talked about person on the planet. At the same time, world leaders and religious heads were impressed and appreciated Pope Francis. President Obama said that Pope Francis makes us want to be better people. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon praises Pope Francis as a man of peace and purpose. Dr. Nicholas Nieder, the head of the Council of the Evangelical Church in Germany, has called him hopeful. American pastor James Robinson had said that he believed that the prayers of earnest Christians had helped lead to the choice of Pope Francis. American Cardinal Dolan said that Pope Francis is a Christmas gift for the whole world. Head of the Eastern Orthodox Church, Patriarch Bartholomew I lauded the humble manner in which Pope Francis exercises his ministry. Patriarch said to Francis that he preached with words but above all with love. Pope Francis asks, "If someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge?" Supporting his statement, Elton John said that Pope Francis should be canonized for reaching out to gay people. Pope Francis has notably taken a more liberal stance on homosexuality, divorce, and other issues that have been staunchly condemned by his predecessors. When the Synod of Bishops on the Family 2014 ended with the position of gay marriage and acceptance of gays to the Church, Pope Francis wanted senior church leaders to look into the issue and to scrutinize the reasons why many countries have legalized same-sex marriages. Due to this, gay Catholics in US are feeling very close to Pope Francis. On August 28, 2015, Pope Francis had sent his blessings to a lesbian author of children's book, Jean Has Two Mummies, wishing her and her wife well in their work. On September 8, 2015, Pope Francis made the latest reform by making divorce cheaper and easier for Catholics to remarry.
The Pope is making another historic move today. He's making it easier for Catholics to have their marriages annulled.
Now, previously, Catholics seeking an annulment needed approval from at least 2 church tribunals. Now, the Pope will allow bishops to grant them directly if both spouses request it.
US and Cuba have been at loggerheads for more than 50 years. And the Pope had brokered a deal between President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro that resulted in renewed relationships between the two countries. This peace treaty between the two countries was not brokered by a politician. It was brokered by the Pope himself. And the Secretary of State of the Vatican, he said this concerning the Pope: the Holy See, diplomacy is always there to help to build bridges. So that is his nature. He is someone who has worked on promoting conglomeration of other faiths and religions.
Pope Francis portrays himself to be a good initiator of peace and as one having great interest in uniting Christian denominations, uniting all religions, and also aiming at unity of all people and culture. In 2013, Pope Francis became the first Catholic leader to call for sincere and rigorous inter-belief dialogue with atheists. During his installation mass, Pope Francis addressed the ambassadors from the 180 countries, including Muslim leaders, promoting inter-religious dialogue, particularly with Islam. On August 13, 2013, during the Sunday Mass, Pope Francis called on Muslims and Christians to work together. During his Israel visit in May 24 to 26, 2014, Pope Francis concluded his tour by meeting with Patriarch Bartholomew I to continue interfaith dialogue with the Orthodox Church. During his visit to Albania on September 21, 2014, he met with religious leaders including those of the Muslim, Orthodox, Bektashi, Jewish, and Protestant faiths. During his visit to Turkey on November 28 to 30, 2014, Francis visited the Blue Mosque, where he prayed silently alongside senior Islamic clerics. Francis concluded his visit with a liturgy in the Church of St. George, alongside Bartholomew I, asking for his blessing for himself and for the Church of Rome. He also urged the reunification between the two churches. During his visit to Sri Lanka on January 13 to 15, 2015, the Pope participated in an inter-religious meeting marked by a Buddhist chant and blessings by Hindu and Muslim clerics.
And in June 27, 2014, evangelical Christian leaders met the Pope in Rome. Who are the evangelical Christian leaders? The Reverend James Robinson, Kenneth Copeland, Reverend Geoff Tunnicliffe, Reverend Brian Stiller, Reverend Thomas Shermeka, and Reverend John Arnott. They all met with the Pope and they had an audience with him to talk about a peace alliance between the Protestants and the Catholics.
I just felt very honored and very humbled.
On June 5, 2014, Joel Osteen, senior pastor at America's fastest growing mega church, Houston's Lakewood Church, met with Pope Francis at the Vatican. Osteen said it was a great honor to represent the pastors of America. Pastor Rick Warren, founder and pastor of California's well-known Saddleback Mega Church and author of best-selling books including The Purpose-Driven Life, has called on non-Catholic Christians to join with Pope Francis and the Catholic Church in pursuit of their common goals.
The main thing is love always reaches people. Authenticity, humility. Pope Francis is the perfect example of this. He is doing everything right. You see, people will listen to what we say if they like what they see. And as our new Pope, he was very, very symbolic.
Cardinal Jorge Bergoglio's decision to choose the name of Francis as Pope has profound significance to Muslims regarding Muslim-Christian relations. In 1219, Saint Francis of Assisi left the camp of the Fifth Crusaders besieging the walled Egyptian city of Damietta and crossed enemy lines to meet with Malik al-Kamil, the young Sultan of Egypt, to convert him instead of fighting. Some weeks later, both became friendly and parted with better understanding. Therefore, when this pope was named after Saint Francis of Assisi, the Muslim population looked forward for the same relationship between Christians and Muslims as it was in the days of Saint Francis of Assisi. In the same way, when Pope Francis was appointed as pontiff, he said, "It is not possible to build bridges between people while forgetting God," he said. The Pope continued saying that the converse is also true and it is not possible to establish true links with God while ignoring other people. He further said that it is important to intensify dialogue among the various religions, particularly of dialogue with Islam.
When he was christened by the sign that